George's on Vista is the local bistro at Fraser Rise in Caroline Springs, situated at the George Cross Soccer Club at City Vista Reserve. With the current COVID-19 pandemic, we've adjusted our menu and our business times. Bistro dining is back with 2 dining sessions Monday to Saturday between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Numbers are limited, so bookings are essential on 7021 0555. Head to georgesonvista.com.au to check out the menu and the dining times. We're also doing takeaway 5 nights a week, Monday to Friday. You can order your meal, kids' meals, or your favourite snack meals via email. info@georgesonvista.com.au or phone your order through on the night between 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on 7021 0555. Or better still, just rock up on the night and place your order. Visit georgesonvista.com.au to see the dine-in and takeaway menus and the business hours. Get behind local business and dine in or order your next takeaway dinner from George's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, in the heart of Caroline Springs.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. You're joining us here on the Football Out West show. It's episode 32 and a big warm welcome to my colleague Craig Filer. Craig, good evening and how are you?
Good evening, Tonch. Good evening, listeners. Yeah, I'm well. Considering what we're all going through at the moment, it's tough times for everybody, but thank God I'm safe and family are safe, and that's the most important thing.
Now, speaking of the family, apparently the wife's gone a little bit loopy. What the hell is going on in the Filer household? Yeah,
well, that's what COVID does to you, mate. It sends you a bit loopy. We were there chatting last night about the house and stuff, and she turned around to me and she said, you know what? She said, I might have a boob job.
A boob job?
A boob job, yeah. She said, I might have a boob job.
Okay,
said,
right.
Yeah, okay, no problem, long as I can have a tattoo. And she went, tattoo? I said, yeah, it's got to be fair, haven't it? Tit for tat.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. You know what? That deserves a...
Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Oh, no way. Well...
Yeah. So, tit for tat. Wanted a boob job.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, we have found ourselves a new starting segment for every show, and it's going to be called Filer's 5 Seconds of Funnies. So, Craig, well done. That was funny. Actually, that was good. That was really good. We need a little bit of humor. We need a little bit of entertainment in these rather morbid times. And we need something to brighten up our day. And I'll tell you what, I've got the Western United top behind me tonight, but you've got something very, very bright. And there's a reason why you've got the Wellington Phoenix top on tonight, isn't there?
Yeah, it is. We're privileged to get... Obviously, they're very busy considering the A-league kicks off again tomorrow, and they're in preparation for their game against Sydney United, and we'll touch on that later on. But we've been lucky enough to get a good friend of mine, Paul Gothard, who's the goalkeeping coach at Wellington Phoenix and an assistant to Ufuk Tala, and he's going to come on and have a good chat about his playing history, how he's ended up in New Zealand, and lots of other stuff. So yeah, really looking forward to having a good chat with Paul.
And I wonder if he's got the same sort of sense of humour that you have, but...
No, he's English. They don't have a sense of humour, mate. They're very dry and drab.
Well, I'm sure Paul's not the whinging type. So anyway, it's going to be awesome because tomorrow night we kick off. Finally, the A-league is back. In fact, tonight was supposed to be the Western United Melbourne Victory game. Unfortunately, that has had to be postponed. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, and the calamity behind all of that. But obviously, as a result of that, Melbourne Victory, in fact, the Victorian clubs won't be playing really until next weekend. Now, Craig, we've got a huge announcement. I guess we're still working on the finer details regarding next week's show, but we've got a pretty huge announcement, and it's got to do with Western United, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. We'll mention it next week, but obviously their season doesn't kick off quite yet, as you said, Tonch. It was supposed to be tonight, but unfortunately, due to circumstances, it's not going to happen. But we'll touch more on the Western United situation next week. But I know that we've been in contact with the club, and it's looking very good for next Thursday.
Yeah, that we're going to have a guest. We're going to have a guest from Western United. Like I said, we're still working on the finer details, but we're hoping it's going to be a major surprise. But that's next week. Later on in the show, Craig, at halftime, I believe you're going to be swapping sides. You're going to be changing sides, and we're not talking about your personal preference or anything like that. We're talking about we're talking about another guest that we're going to have later on, and you're going to be switching Guernseys, so to speak.
Yeah, we are. I've got so once Paul's been on today, around about quarter to 8, we will have again another great special guest for us. You know, he's a pretty outspoken character. He's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think there'll be any holds barred, and we're lucky enough to get the CEO of Newcastle Jets, Lawrie McKinna, on the show.
Should be good.
Laurie's had a pretty illustrious career inside of football and outside of football. So we'll be talking about what's going on inside the club as they're preparing for the A-league as well. So fans with local football diminishing very quickly. We've really got the A-league now. That's and we're fortunate that it's come back up, because it now gives us an opportunity to talk about something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to look forward to. Absolutely. Cannot wait for that. For fans of the old National Soccer League days, Lawrie was a player with several sides in the old NSL. And then he was involved with Central Coast and was also the mayor of Gothard. So the man has done so much, and now he's the CEO of Newcastle Jets. So we'll be certainly covering a lot of ground tonight. But as Craig just starts off set, he's quickly getting himself ready for the news, and we'll hop straight into the news desk. Don't go away. You're watching the Football Out West show, which is also podcast, or simulcast, I should say, on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page. Over to you, Craig.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the news this Thursday evening. So what have we got to talk about that's happened in football this week? Not a great deal. So the news has been very hard to find this week, but I suppose we'll start off, Tonch, with the major news down here in Victoria, that all football within certainly Metropolitan and Mitchellshire has been cancelled for the remainder of the season, which, look, I think we all saw it coming. It wasn't something that we're all shocked about. Could it have happened earlier? Possibly. But, football has effectively finished, with the exception of the Geelong region, which can continue due to, obviously, they're not being part of the lockdown area. So their players in Geelong and Ballarat, Bendigo, etc., are all able to play, which is great news for them guys, but obviously not for the rest of Melbourne. But as I said last week, Tonch, I believe, and it's my opinion, I believe that the Football Federation have done everything they can to try and get football played. Unfortunately for everybody, the government have decided that it can't happen. Take my hat off to the Football Federation for what they've done and what they've tried to do. Of course, there'll be comments coming left, right, and centre in a moment about, where's all the money, etc., etc., etc. I'm sure something will come out very, very shortly on that. But I think from my side, just want to say that I think they've done a great job under very, very difficult circumstances. So I might be wrong. Don't shoot the devil, but they're just my opinions. What have you got to say on that, Tonj?
Yeah. Oh, look, mate, I agree. Look, as you know, I did work at Football Victoria, based down in the Geelong office for about 3 years, and then people will know, obviously, that. So I've been lucky to have seen both sides of the field, and being involved with the junior down in Geelong, a junior team down in Geelong. I'm thankfully I'm one of those where my team can still play. My under 11 mini Roos, we can still play. For how long, no one knows. And I think the general feeling is that whilst we're going to enjoy it, and with particularly the record numbers achieved today, all for the wrong reasons, it's a question of how long will this last? Will it plateau soon, or will it go well into 2020? No one knows. That's the thing. So, and based on that, Football Victoria, I think, really tried to do the best that they could in an ever-changing landscape, and I think that's the difficult thing. Yeah, people are talking about fees and all this and that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, the thing is, I don't want to sort of say this, but there's a very real possibility the governing body in this state could quite easily go bankrupt. Firstly, the organisation, I don't think, has too many assets. As far as, not like Football New South Wales, where they actually have stadia and facilities. They're paying rent at their office in St Kilda Road. How much? God knows how much they're paying rent. But they've had to they've had to lay off quite a fair few administrators. So, all this talk that, the technical department down to 1 day a week, most of the executive management down to 1 day a week. So in that 1 day a week, you can't get much done anyway. So unless the government bails Football Victoria out, I think football in this state is in the short term going to be in dire straits. Dire straits.
Yeah, look, and I can't see the government bailing football out. Their priorities are clearly aligned elsewhere. So I think football will be the last people to get a bailout from anybody. Look, I suppose it's watch this space and see what happens. But as Chris Briffers put in the comments here, move on, start planning for 2021. I think that's all we can do now, Chris.
Will there be a 2021? That's the thing. Will there be a 2021?
Yeah, let's everybody have a good break. It's been a tough time for everybody, and there's been a lot of stress and a lot of work put on a lot of clubs and a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So let's let them enjoy some rest time, some downtime, and start to plan. And look, maybe we will get some football in 2021. Let's hope we get football in 2021, and we're in a far better position than we are as of July the 13th, 2020, because it's been a horrendous 2020 for the whole of Australia, hasn't it?
It has, and look, we just hope that some form of football can come back. And look, we've been running a poll. Shall we talk about the poll next, or shall we still talk about this topic?
No, look, I think the other thing is, of course, of the Football Victoria, and I think you've got to clip it there of they've sent an email to clubs in Geelong area. As I said, they're in a situation where they are able to play football, and Football Federation have sent an email out to the clubs to see what sort of response there is on potentially playing a mini league in Geelong, or two leagues, an MPL, MSL. And then an MSL, State League 4, State League 5. So I think the State League, the MPL and MSL one would derive of North Geelong, Geelong Rangers and Corio in a 4-team tournament. And then obviously the rest would be the Barwins, Surf Coasts, etc. That would make up the other one. But as per your correspondence today, Tonch, it's highly unlikely at this stage that it's going to happen. Mario Gregorio suggesting that the club's very unlikely to show any interest while he'd be discussing it with his clubs and his players. The reality is he's got too many players that live in Melbourne that won't be able to participate. So if you're going to play football and you want to win games, you've got to have your strongest side out. So whether that thing will come up or not, I'm not sure, Tonch. But you know,
and look, this is Yeah, I broke the news earlier today after getting a bit of a tip, and you know, you were also quite privy to this information. And look, for listeners out there that aren't aware, Football Victoria has actually approached the Geelong clubs, the clubs that play in the metropolitan competitions, i.e. the NPL and the state leagues, with a view for them to express their interest in what is a concept at this stage, whereby those clubs would be put into two separate divisions, a 4-team Division 1 and a 6-team Division 2, and that they would be looked at playing their games, you know, possibly over summer. Now, the thing is, Craig, with these clubs down in Geelong, apart from the fact that at the moment Geelong is not affected, correct me, I stand corrected, the Geelong region is not as affected as Melbourne in the sense that it's not a lockdown. They are still affected because their senior players cannot train full contact. So they can still train at the moment, but they have to maintain socially distancing and all of that. But they are being proactive, Football Victoria, and saying, look, the vast majority of these clubs, I think there's about 8 of those clubs or 10 of these clubs. I think 8 out of the 10 clubs actually have got purpose-built football facilities. And they've got access to these grounds pretty much 12 months of the year. So they're saying, well, if we can't have a proper competition for those clubs that want to play, would they be interested? Now, Corio President Mario Gregorio has suggested that we will be discussing the concept with our players and coaches. Our biggest issue is that we have 6 quality players, including our 3 Italian imports, Riyado, Luca, in lockdown. But they have got a lot of juniors. They have got a lot of promising youngsters. Geelong are in the same boat. And look, if they're looking at winning something that means nothing, well, fine, fair enough, I can get that. But you then got to ask yourself, what is your club actually? What does your club exist for? Like, is it there to try and win at all costs? And if it doesn't stand a chance of winning, then we don't want to be a part of it. Is it a soccer club or football club that is going to give, you know, its youngsters a chance of playing at a higher level? And in this particular case, you're playing against other clubs. North Geelong's the same. They won't have their full team because they'll have a lot of players missing. But having said that, they've also got a lot of their own, junior players, I suppose, as well. So, you know,
isn't this an opportunity to give youngsters a game? Isn't it?
Well,
if football, and we've been talking about this now for 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Development of youngsters in the game. Now, isn't this a perfect opportunity to put your under-18s, under-20s in a tournament and get them to play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the only way we're going to be able to develop. We can't keep talking about, we want to bring players, we want to get players, we want to get e-visa players, we want to do this, we want to do that. Concentrate on your own. Concentrate concentrate on what's in your back garden.
Absolutely.
Yeah, develop those players in your back garden.
Yeah. And Craig, this is a concept. At the moment, it's like a concept. It's like an expression of interest to maybe create something, you know. And it's strictly says it's only for the 2020 season. And in 2021, all those clubs would go back to the NPL. They'd go back to the state league. So there's nothing at stake. Nothing to lose. You can't get relegated. So as you said, it's the perfect vehicle, perfect opportunity to blood some kids. Blood some youngsters, maybe even get a player or two from one of the other clubs around town that isn't playing and play him as a guest player. Now, I'm sure this concept could be open to maybe clubs in Ballarat, for example. So, or if not, maybe players from Ballarat that could be invited to come down to North Geelong or Rangers or Corio. I think sometimes we've got to think outside the square, and we've been saying the whole time, this is an unusual year. What goes on in 2020 is going to be something just completely different. And look, credit to Football Victoria. And we always say, they don't do the planning or they don't do this. They're actually now trying to plan for something that may or may not eventuate, but they're trying to plan. You know, I
think and to be fair, they've tried to do that from day one, as far as I can see. Look, I think we've gone without going over what we've already done over the last couple of weeks, because we can't go back now. We've got to start thinking forward. Maxi Santech has put there. The boots are hung up for the season. It's now time to start planning every possible scenario to get back to 21 in the most normal way. Use this downtime to help move the game forward. That's what we have to start doing now.
Yeah.
Clubs have a couple of weeks off and then start coming in planning to make you in your club bigger and better for 2021. That's all we can do. If football does get played across the state, and there's still rumors that they want to get the juniors played. If that happens, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If football gets played in Geelong, fantastic, because let those players that can play football. They shouldn't be victimised because they live in an area that it's not lockdown. They should be allowed to go and play and continue their development. Unfortunately, for the rest, we are in a lockdown area. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've spoken to quite a fair few people, fair few coaches, and the general consensus is for young players, for these talented young players, if they go a year without playing football, will that adversely affect their development? Will that have a detrimental effect on their development? Craig, you're a coach of under 16 kids at NPL level, and that's probably the perfect demographic we want to sort of target that question at. What do you think? For these kids to go 12 months or so not playing competitive football, what will it do to their development as footballers?
Yeah, of course, it's gonna impact right across from young kids right through to senior football as well.
So why would you deny them if they had that
opportunity? Absolutely. If there's an opportunity to play, we've got to play. We've said that from day one, Mike. If you remember me saying we're either in or we're not. Mm-hmm. If kids can play, let them play. We can't allow for young kids to miss a whole year of football, and it's not just the kids; it's all the seniors as well. My lad's 21. For him not to be able to play football for a whole season is tough. So lots of players will be going through that. Whether he's 21 or 12, not having time on a football field, it's tough. Because you're in that environment 2, 3, 4 nights a week training. Playing a game on the weekend, of course, you're going to lose a little bit. It's going to take, the biggest impact is, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago with Jake, the mental side of it, your fitness side of it. You work very, very hard for what's been 8 months almost of pre-season to get yourself in a position where you're fit and ready to go, to now have to stop, and you've got another 6 months of what do I do? And speaking from experience, you don't train, you're not fit, and then it takes a long, long time to get back. So, look, let's move on from this. We're not going to play football, Tonch, for the foreseeable future. I suppose our targets now are the A-league, and then we look forward to hopefully coming back in 2021, bigger and stronger and better for what we've been through.
Yeah. Now, before we go to our first guest, we've got a poll happening on our Facebook page, on our Football Out West Facebook page. Tell us a bit more about that, Craig.
Yeah, so put a poll up this morning just to ask our listeners, and please jump on as it's come up on the screen there. Given the fact that there's no football in 2020, would you like to see the Football Out West and the Football Fan Zone show continue? The show's here for you guys. It's not there for us. It's there for the football general public of Victoria and beyond. We want to continue if there's a demand for it. Now, if there's a demand for it, we want to continue. But it's your show, guys, and please vote, and we'll do whatever we can to keep things going. And we'll touch on the reasons why a little bit later on in the show.
So this was taken just before the show went to air. Given that there will be no football in 2020, would you like to see the Football Out West show and the Football Fan Zone continue? Now, we've had a total of 30 votes so far, and that's in less than an hour, so that's fantastic. 87% are saying yes. Only 13% are saying no at this early stage. So, look, that's we want you to vote. We want you to have your say. Put in a comment. It's great. It's a nice and warm and fuzzy feeling to know that you are wanted. But not only that, what would you like to see? We had a couple of comments sent to us during the week, and we are looking at certainly adopting some of those comments. In particular, one person said maybe we'll concentrate a little bit more on players and that sort of stuff as well. So we'll certainly be, particularly with the A-League, we'll really be focusing now on on-field matters, because hallelujah, we finally got something to talk about on the field. But mate, I think it's time we go visit the green room and get our first guest, Goffy, out of the green room and coming and joining us here live on the show. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, let's get him on.
All right. Don't go too far away. It's episode 32 of the Football Out West show. We're going to be back straight after this little word from our sponsor, the George Cross Football Club and Georgie's on Vista.
Georgie's on Vista is the local bistro at Fraser Rise in Caroline Springs, situated at the George Cross Soccer Club at City Vista Reserve. With the current COVID-19 pandemic, we've adjusted our menu and our business times. Bistro dining is back with 2 dining sessions Monday to Saturday between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Numbers are limited, so bookings are essential on 7021 0555. Head to georgiesonvista.com.au to check out the menu and the dining times. We're also doing takeaway 5 nights a week, Monday to Friday. You can order your meal, kids' meals, or your favourite snack meals via email. info@georgiesonvista.com.au, or phone your order through on the night between 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on 7021 0555. Or better still, just rock up on the night and place your order. Visit georgiesonvista.com.au to see the dine-in and takeaway menus and for business hours. Get behind local business and dine in, or order your next takeaway dinner from Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, in the heart of Caroline Springs. 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, in the heart of Caroline Springs.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show, and a big, big thank you to Georgie's on Vista and the George Cross Football Club. A lot of our viewers each week hail from the great George Cross Football Club, and we thank everyone there for getting behind us. And we must say, obviously, there is no dine-in at the moment. That is slightly outdated, but we will hopefully get a new advert in. But definitely you can order takeaway from Georgie's on Vista. So make sure to do that every opportunity you get. I mean, it's really important, Craig, to help out the little guys, the businesses, the small businesses in this time. So Georgie's on Vista, real good supporter of this show. Now, Craig, I'll let you do all the introductions. Hello? Have you switched your microphone off?
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
I'll let you do the introductions.
Hello.
I'll let you do the introductions with our next guest.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it gives me great pleasure to have this guy on the show. He's the current goalkeeping coach and assistant coach at Wellington Phoenix. He's an ex-all-white assistant coach and goalkeeper for Auckland City down in New Zealand. Good evening to the show. Welcome, Paul Gothard. How are you, mate?
Evening, guys. All good. Good to see you.
Evening, Paul. How are you? How's things? You're looking very, very smiley. We were just talking earlier. Have you got the same wacky, crazy sense of humour as our resident Welshman, Craig?
I'd probably say the sense of humour is a bit better because I'm English and he's Welsh.
No, I told you he's English. I haven't got a sense of humour.
Maybe I should move in the middle between you two guys. Yeah. Great to have you on the show, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us. It's certainly an exciting time as far as the A-League is concerned, without a shadow of a doubt. But let's first of all, before we jump into that, mate, tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about the Paul Gothard story from your playing days to your management days, and how you ended up at Wellington Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. Well, to try and keep the listeners still awake, maybe we'll do it quickly. But I moved to New Zealand 15 years ago with a very young, like the family was young, and we moved over and we sort of set ourselves up, and my wife's a nurse, so she went back to work. I was looking after the kids, and you know how football sucks you back into it. I ended up working looking after my local football club in north of Auckland, which was a Warkworth football club, and then that led me into playing for Auckland City. I signed with those, had a good number of years there with those, doing the Club World Cups, Champions Leagues, OFC, all of those bits, and then moved into, fortunate enough, with the new assistant coach at the Jets, Darren, I moved into the under-17s national team with him, and then that progressed through the under-20s into the All Whites, and then I obviously was lucky enough then once the All Whites role was coming towards the end, the Wellington Phoenix approached me and it gave me an opportunity to coach in the A-league, which has been great.
Now, 15 years you've been in New Zealand. That's incredible. What's the number after 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Oh, no, you're not a New Zealander yet. Not yet.
No. I've still got this silly accent, I think.
Still got that. Yeah. Sorry there. But you mentioned about the Club World Cup with Auckland City, and that was such an incredible achievement to come up against some of the world's best club sides. Yeah. And really to do not only New Zealand, but the entire Oceania region proud. Tell us your experiences about that particular tournament.
Yeah, they were just a fantastic opportunity. We took a group of players which are effectively to the rest of the world professional side, but really we were what we'd call a semi-professional side. We'd be training at 3 o'clock every day in the afternoon. The head coach, Ramon, the Spanish fella, was very organised and very structured. And we'd sort of pit the players and said, let's try and achieve the best we can. A little bit of luck, like there always is. We had a couple of good strikers that would take the chances when they came up. And then to get through the first round and then just progress through like that, it was fantastic. And I'm, fortunately for us, Oceania qualifying out of it, really the biggest competition was the other New Zealand team, which would either be a Waitakere or Team Wellington at our time, and then moving through with those guys. It would be interesting when we were scouting though. Lots of players you'd have lots of agents contacting you, going, "Oh, we've got this player, but they only want this amount of money," and you're thinking, "Well, we're not full time here." We did well to compete against those big boys.
Craig.
Now, one of the games you did play in that was against San Lorenzo, and that was quite a group because I believe, if I remember right, you lost the game 2-1.
Yes.
Would I be right?
Yep, you're right. Yep, correct.
2-1. And what would have happened if you'd actually beat San Lorenzo in that game?
Yeah, that would have been putting ourselves against Real Madrid in the next one. So. The way the draws are always structured, you never get towards the UEFA Champions League team until you reach the semi or the final. But they were the big cool sort of cards. We were fortunate, like we played in the UAE, and we had the Oceania team has to face a playoff game, so you play their national champions that get invitation into it. So that was nice in 2009. Then going to 2011, 2012 was in Japan. So it's a different opposition straight away. So fortunate in that year that we're talking about, when you go to play in Morocco, you get to play their national champions, which aren't quite the level of the J-League, but it's still hard to progress further through there as well.
Now, was that the
experience for management?
Yeah. I was going to say, was that the tournament? Was Western Sydney Wanderers part of that as well, or no?
No, they weren't. No, that was the 2012, I think it was. They were there.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Oh, that's a long time, wasn't it? It seems like a long time ago, but it actually wasn't. It wasn't that long ago. But nonetheless, moving along. And now you've also had quite a fairly illustrious stint with the All Whites, with the New Zealand national team. Tell us some more about that.
Yeah, that was fortunate in the fact that we had a home World Cup in 2015, so we were coaching the under-20 team. That was just as the time that Ricky Herbert was stepping away from the role after not qualifying for the 2016 World Cup. So we ended up as an interim staff stepping into it. We did a couple of international games there, and then Anthony Hudson was appointed as the head coach. Anthony was someone that I knew from back in England as well, through friends of friends. And that role just continued through. We were fortunate. We went into Nations Cup, did the Confeds, and then intercontinental playoff against Peru, home and away, which were really good. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. Anthony moved on to Colorado with a couple of the other coaches that we work with, and that opened the door up for me to come to the Phoenix. So yeah, it's been very lucky. I think I've just done just over, with the 17s and 20s and the all whites, it's probably just over 100 international games now. So it's good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, not many people get an opportunity to coach at a national stage. So, and especially a POM, the other side of the world. So, it's a massive, must be a massive privilege to do that.
To be able to do that, which is something realistically, if we're honest, Craig, we'd probably, if we were back in the UK, we'd never get anywhere near the national teams. So you need it as a stepping stone to build your pathway and your CV and your career up to get to that next level, hopefully. Yeah.
Now let's just touch on the UK for a little bit, because was it Dagenham and Redbridge you were at as a player?
Yes, yeah, I was Colchester United.
You're a Dagenham boy?
Yeah, no, I'm just outside. I'm from Southend on Sea. Dagenham, Southend. Dagenham and Redbridge. I was there for 12 years, and then just moved across into the Conference South, and then into the league below that before I came over here. And that was, it was a really, really good time over there. We had a lot of good boys. The football was very different to what it is now, and probably the expectation. We were lucky we had no Instagram or camera phones and things like that, you see, so we could get away with a bit more.
Actually, I think Tonch wanted to touch on the actual play inside of it. Tonch, didn't you? The difference between here and...
I'm really interested to know, like, particularly the setup at the Phoenix. How would you compare it to, say, some of the professional clubs from back home and some of the clubs that you've been exposed to, both back in the UK, but also in other countries as well? Just, the facilities, the resources available, the caliber of coaching and support staff, etc.
Yeah, so I think you're right. When we started originally, all I remembered was probably never, when I started, you probably didn't have a goalie coach. So you just joined in with the team on most of the times. Then goalie coach role developed. And then you ended up moving into like tactics and things like that. Really, our coaches at the days when I was playing was, that's it. I was in goal and I caught the ball, looked up, and everyone was on the halfway line. I just as far as I could up the field. So the game's changed hugely. Even playing when I came over to play for Auckland City, they like to play short passing Barcelona kind of style. The coach was Spanish, and he loved that. And that was quite hard for me to actually go back and start playing smaller passes instead of actually just kicking it as far as I could. But it depends on the coaches now. So both the coaches that I've worked with, realistically so far with the 20s, and then coming into the Phoenix with the two coaches I've worked with here, both have good tactical and technical knowledge, and the whole development of coaches through the whole coaching badges and coaching courses now has changed. There's an actual structure and pattern for the week, and each week we know what we're doing and how it's going to be. There's never a moment where nothing happens that we shouldn't know about, So I think it's much better now for a younger player to come in, because they get told this is what needs to be done, this is why, and this is what we're going to do it, and they get on with it. So it's good.
And there's been so many different coaches over the last, or even the last 5 years at Wellington Phoenix. And we'll talk about the current one, Ufuk Tale, in a moment. But there's been so many, with Ernie Merrick, Dario Kalajic, Mark Rudan, Ufuk Tale, and then before him, Chris Greenacre, Ricky Herbert. So there's been so many different coaches, no doubt with so many different influences and what you're not. How have you seen those various influences making their mark at the Phoenix? Has it been easy, hard for the club to create its own, I guess, fundamental style of football, or has it, all the different influences actually helped?
Yeah, I think probably it's probably hindered more than helped. just because I think my beliefs are that I think if you have a club that has an actual culture and knows what it wants, what sort of players it wants, how it wants to play football, then that way then they recruit along those lines as well. With Mark coming in last year, he had to pick up a side very disjointed, not huge squad. So we had to get success really and results, which is what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He got players in that were proven, that were experienced, that knew what they needed to do, and had game times. So they were good. Ufi picked up the squad this year with 7 players signed on. So the recruitment of how he's been working with the analyst, with Greeny, the other assistant as well, bringing in the right people has been fantastic. And now I feel that we have a clear picture of what we want to do and how each week works. And if we need to find a new player in the close season, we know the sort of player that we want, which I think we haven't had previously. So that's good.
Yeah, that's important, isn't it? If you speak to any coach that's decent, it's right. Where do I need to pick up players? What area of the pitches do I need, and what's the reason for that? That's my setup. That's the system I want to play right now. I need to find someone to pick in that position. That's really important. But I suppose the fact that it's now going to be the second year next year. There's some kind of consistency there within the club now, which I think everybody's, or certainly from a Wellington point of view, hasn't had for a number of years. It hasn't had that consistent coach that's been in there that can set down some plans and have a vision to go forward. It's been sort of season and then we're out.
So to recruit the right people is important. So it's having the right people on and off the field. So potentially, if they're good. They might be great footballers, but maybe not great in the group. So it's a give and take what you want out of them from there. And Ufi's got a clear, it's a clear plan. There's no questioning with what he wants, and he's got a good knowledge of the age group players in Australia from his work with the young Socceroos.
Yeah. And talking of a young player, Saprat Singh is obviously one of the players that the club lost at the start of the season. He made a life-changing move to one of the biggest clubs in the world in Bayern Munich. Yeah. Do you keep obviously in contact with Saprat, or do you?
We've done. Yeah, we message. I message just to sort of when it comes up to bigger games or it was his debut or things have gone well, and he always comes back to you. He's now won. I think he's won the German Cup, the Bundesliga, and I think the second team he's been playing at the start of the season with just about to win their division as well. So potentially his first year there, he's got three trophies as well. So
fantastic. And he has been playing for the senior team as well, hasn't he? He's been playing a number of games. So that's it's fair plays, and I think it does show that if you have the right talent and the right person, that the opportunities do come around. Nobody heard of him 18 months ago.
No.
Now all of a sudden he's winning 3 trophies in one of the biggest leagues in Europe. So dreams can happen, and just knuckle down for any youngsters that are listening. Get your head down, your coach, and work hard.
And I listened to you guys about the games and stuff from there. And the biggest problem that we have probably in New Zealand is that the National League isn't very long at all. The National Youth League is even shorter. And then the Winter Leagues, there's not enough games for players to play in. So if they're not playing games, they're not experiencing mistakes or scenarios that will help them develop. And that's it. And I think the more games you play, the better he's going to get. And likes of Libby, the young lad there, he's the same age as Sapri. We had him through the under-20s, and then he's kicked in. This is to be his near enough third full season in the A-league. So every game he's getting better, and there's more examples of things that he can do better, and he's done well. It's just playing games. Goalkeepers, out players, whoever need games.
Speaking of playing games, we're going to have a look at the ladder now with the resumption of the A-League season kick-starting tomorrow officially. Wellington there in third place, 4 points behind Melbourne City, but with 3 games over Melbourne City, or 3 games in hand, if you like. Tomorrow, a big clash against Sydney FC, obviously the reigning champions, and Can they still mathematically not win it? No.
I don't know. They've got to win. I think they've got to get 6 points to say it's the Premiers. It's there.
Yeah. And how's the feeling in the Phoenix camp ahead of tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, we've had a good win here we've been in Sydney now for 4 weeks. There'll be 4 weeks tomorrow night. So it's been a long time for the boys all being away and the family, away from families and loved ones back at home. Had 2 weeks in isolation or quarantine in a Valentine Sports Club, which was a great setup, fantastic setup for us because the training facilities were good. And now we're based now in the hotel, just getting ready. We go out to train every day, come back in, eat, back to our rooms. So it's still quite there's still quite strict guidelines that the A-league players and the coaches must adhere to. So we've been following those, just making sure. We got tested again day before yesterday, so that was our 5th test since.
How often do you get tested, Paul?
That was our 5th one since we've been here now. So so it's been pretty regular. So everyone obviously came through that negative, so that was good. And now we just carry on ready for tomorrow night. The protocols, because it's an evening kickoff. Tomorrow is going to be a nice easy day for the boys. We'll do a walk and stretch in the morning, and then do a little set piece meeting at lunchtime, and then the gaffer will do his meeting before we go off to the game, ready to play Sydney. So ideally, it's a long day.
How hard has it been to motivate the troops, particularly in quarantine and, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, knowing sort of there may be a season, there may not be a season, you're expecting it to be, but no one really knows, and then things changing every so often.
Yeah. They watch the news a lot, the boys as well, funnily enough, so they all know what's going on. And we saw what was happening in Melbourne, so there was a bit of panic around whether those Melbourne teams would get out, and eventually that did happen. And then we're in a situation now where I think we're looking forward to the games, because we've got 3 games next week. We obviously play Friday, Wednesday, Saturday, and then we've got another 3 games after that. So they come around thick and fast. So as a coaching side, the boys need to recover and be fresh. We've got reviews, previews, and all of and preparation to get cracking with now. So the days are going to go quite quick. So hopefully, we'll be able to get back there soon.
Are they looking forward to the 3 games in 6 days, 3 games in 7 days type of thing? Or, that's normal in Europe. They're always going to play midweek games. Obviously, for us, we're not used to that. But are the lads really excited and really feel like, professionals when they're subjected to that, if you like?
Yeah, there's always the whole squad. Like we joke with Greeny and stuff from there. Like, I think one season when I was with Dagenham, I think I played something like 52 games in a year, and you're playing all the way through Saturday, Tuesday, and then after the new year comes around, it's cup games. So these guys now will go. We've got a squad. The squad of 24 players here. They've all trained really well, and they're all good. They're all good professionals. So they've come back after this COVID break in really good shape. And there's the likes of Stevie Taylor and Hooper and De Villa and Bully and people like that within the group. That if anyone thinks they're down, there's always a joke and a bit of stick flying around. So the band has been very good between the boys. So
yeah.
The results.
Just a question there. I was actually going to bring Steve Taylor up because obviously he's an ex Premier League player, hundreds of games up there for Newcastle. How is he around the young players with his experience, and because he's a bit of a jovial character as well? So I would imagine there's a few misdemeanors that go on. How is he with the youngsters? Is he one of those ones to put his arm around him, or is he really one the other side to?
Yeah, no, he is. I think so.
Need it.
We would say probably he's got a mental age of some of the other younger ones anyway, to be honest. So he gets on really well with those. He's got his other 2 amigos here because Gary Hooper's here and David Ball. Yeah. So their little English triangle sticks together there. But they're a good group. The young kids, you'll see Tails sitting one at dinner with the young ones one day, and then with the older ones, and he'll be over with someone else the next one. So he's very social, and he's a really good one to have in the dressing room because of he's got his experience, but he also leads probably more by example on the training field. He keeps things simple and does things right. He's a very good professional off the field as well in regards to health and well-being, that kind of thing as well.
Now, before we let you go, Paul, we've got a question from one of our viewers, Barbaros John Cara, and he poses a good question. How does the Phoenix conduct scouting in New Zealand and Australia for juniors? And is there an academy? If there's an academy, what ages?
Yeah, so we have the Phoenix Academy, and what we do with those guys, they're affiliated with one of the Winter League clubs, which is like a sister club to us. So we have a summer and winter season in New Zealand. So the winter season now is just underway. So all of our academy players, there's four groups. So we go from, there's a first team in their top division, then the second team, third team, fourth team. But we have ages. The kids start at 14 with us in the academy, and we're linked to a school in Wellington, which is a boarding school. So if we need to bring players from overseas or players from Auckland or out of Wellington, then there's an opportunity there for those still to stay in. The scouting process really goes from probably more from for goalkeepers wise and players is a similar one. We're talking to the age group coaches, the under 17s, under 20s, national team coaches, to see what players they've got on their radar and is there an opportunity to bring those guys in. We had a couple in last year. Gianni Stensness was in with us last year, came in as a younger player and a squad player with us. Because of the age group stuff with New Zealand football that we knew he was out there. It's very difficult for Wellington at the moment with the guidelines of the visa players. So unless, we're okay to bring in Australian-based players over to us, no problem. But for Kiwis going the other way, they'd count as that visa spot. So most of the time, the Phoenix Academy is focusing on Kiwi players more than anything to try and bring those through. And the aim probably for those academy ones, and I know this, is to looking at your MPLs and how your system's set up. When the younger guys come into, say, Sydney, they're 20 coming on 21, so they've got a bit more experience and they're a bit older, where our young kids that come in from our academy goes up to 18. So there's a couple of years difference. Maybe the players aren't quite ready yet for A-League or the National League. So we're always looking. The club are very open. If anything comes through to us staff regarding anyone asked to see a player, can they look at him? Then we look at all of those, because you never say never to anyone, because there's always that someone out there that we might miss.
Fantastic. Craig, any questions? Any last questions for Paul?
Yeah, just one for me. I know you're a big man for your tattoos.
Yeah.
Have you had any more? Have you added to the list, mate?
No, not yet. Just my Wellington Phoenix ones on there, and then I'm in A-League, so I'm all set there. I'm waiting for hopefully the toilet seat to go around there somewhere. We hope so. You never know. It's a long way to go yet, and there's a lot of games.
Listen, mate, we wish you all the best, and really appreciate the fact that you've come on tonight. I know you've got a big game to prepare for tomorrow. Wish you all the best in the remaining fixtures, and best of luck to all of you down there, and stay safe, mate. And I'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
Lovely. Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon. Well done.
Good on you, Paul. Thank you very much. Really, really much appreciated. That was Paul Gothard from Wellington Phoenix. A really good bloke, isn't he? Really, really down to earth. And I just can't believe that after 15 years in New Zealand, he can't say six the way Kiwis say it.
He's a good lad. He's done very well for himself, as he said. Came over to and started off at the lower leagues, and eventually he's working with the All Whites, and now working in the A-League. So fair play to him, and he deserves it. He's a good lad.
Absolutely. Now, don't go away, folks. Stay tuned for our next guest, who is going to be a man who's really been around the football landscape, if you like, here in Australia for well over the last 20 years as a player, as a coach, and now he's a CEO of the A-League club, Newcastle Jets. Don't go away. We'll be back with Lawrie McKinna.
George's on Vista is the local bistro at Fraser Rise in Caroline Springs, situated at the George Cross Soccer Club at City Vista Reserve. With the current COVID-19 pandemic, we've adjusted our menu and our business times. Bistro dining is back with 2 dining sessions Monday to Saturday between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Numbers are limited, so bookings are essential on 7021 0555. Head to georgesonvista.com.au to check out the menu and the dining times. We're also doing takeaway 5 nights a week, Monday to Friday. You can order your meal, kids' meals, or your favourite snack meals via email. info@georgesonvista.com.au or phone your order through on the night between 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on 7021 0555. Or better still, just rock up on the night and place your order. Visit georgesonvista.com.au to see the dine-in and takeaway menus and for business hours. Get behind local business and dine in or order your next takeaway dinner from George's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, in the heart of Caroline Springs.
Welcome back to Football Out West Show. It's episode 32, and we are told by Mark Sultana, the president of the George Cross Football Club, that takeaway now is only available Friday night. So tomorrow night, make sure to get in nice and early and order your takeaway from Georgie's on Vista. And hopefully, fingers crossed, before too long, not only will we be able to have takeaway most nights of the week, but also we'll be able to dine in what is a absolutely fantastic venue. Craig, our next guest. Again, he hasn't switched his... Why do you switch your microphone off? Switch it back on.
Oh, you're talking to me? I thought you were talking to Lawrie.
Better. No. Talking to you, mate.
He's a great guest to have on tonight. He's a very outspoken character. He's the CEO of the Newcastle Jets. We welcome to the show Mr. Lawrie McKinna.
Lawrie, welcome. Hello, can you hear us? He can't hear us.
Why can't he hear us, Tonch?
I don't know. His face is looking at us, but he just can't hear us. Hello, Lawrie. We might have to do the talkback version through the phone lines, huh?
Yeah, that's plugged in, mate. So I'm not sure why.
Now, whilst we're trying to organise that, let's have a look at the ladder, the A-league ladder again. So. As we can see, Sydney FC commanding at the top, doing extremely well, doing very, very well. They've got a commanding 8-point lead over Melbourne City, but Melbourne City have played 3 more games. Wellington Phoenix, as we mentioned, in second spot. Those 2 sides, Sydney FC and Wellington, meet up tomorrow. So that will be interesting to see how that pans out. Brisbane Roar in 4th spot, Perth Glory 5th, and making up the top 6, Western United. Adelaide United in 7th spot, Western Sydney in 8th. And then we've got the Newcastle Jets in 9th spot, and they have played a game more than the other teams around them. Melbourne Victory in 2nd last spot, and then followed by Central Coast Mariners at the bottom. Now, if we have a look at the games being played, the games being played over this weekend. So Sydney FC taking on Wellington Phoenix tomorrow night. On Saturday night, Perth Glory take on Central Coast Mariners. That game is at Central Coast's ground. Then we've got Brisbane Roar taking on Adelaide United at 7:30 p.m. Now, Brisbane Roar's team manager and kit man, Jesse Mays, is in fact a Geelong boy, and he will be appearing on Monday night's Geelong Region Soccer Show as a special guest. So, big announcement there for those folk that are tuning in or via the Geelong simulcast. And then the other game, Tuesday night, Sydney FC taking on Newcastle Jets. Well, that's going to be an interesting game. That is to be played at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium. Now we're still waiting on. We got to put this up. Where are we? Okay, there he is. Craig's just managed to do a bit of a Guernsey change just in time. And Craig, have we got our guest on? Let's see if he's going to come on now.
Yeah, we should have him on. Lawrie, are you there?
Hello,
Can you hear us,
Lawrie.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, now we've got him. Lawrie, welcome to the Football Out West show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on board.
No, thanks for inviting me on, and thanks for the 15-minute call last night that took 45 minutes to get the technology sorted out.
How was the rest of your evening, by the way?
That was very romantic.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on the couch looking into each other's eyes and never said much, but we just looked at each other's eyes, and it was quite romantic.
There you go.
Very good.
I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we didn't interfere too much.
Just make me a cup of tea just now.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, you are a spoilt man, Lawrie McKinna. You are a spoilt man. Mate, you've had a long and illustrious football career, both as a player, both as a coach and an administrator here in Australia. You've seen it all. You've seen old soccer. You've witnessed new football. You've seen the highs and the lows, mate. Let's go to the start. Let's tell us a little bit about the Lawrie McKinna story when you first came out to Australia. Was it back in the 90s or so? Was it? When was it? Back in the 80s, was it?
Yeah, 1986. Me and my wife and my two young boys came out to Box Hill. Box Hill were in the Premier League, or the number one state league, and I'd left Kilmarnock. I'd been at Kilmarnock for 4 years and had the opportunity to come to Australia, and we were about 24 and we just made the biggest decision of our life, and we came out at Box Hill, and they were a great club, looked after as well, and I did okay when I came to State League, and then signed with Heidelberg in the Old National League and done reasonably well. And then, so after about 1 year and 3/4 in Melbourne, I got sold to Apia, who just won the league in 87. So I went up there 88. Then I went to Blacktown City in the National League, and I played there for a lot of years, and went out on loan in between rupture my kidneys and break my tibia and fibia. I was out for about 3 seasons. I played with Newcastle Breakers, Wollongong Wolves a wee bit, and finished at Blacktown City, and then get into coaching.
So this is back in the late or early 90s, and then you ended up, first of all, an assistant coach at Blacktown City, and then worked your way up, Sydney United, Parramatta Power, and then your first senior gig was with the old Northern Spirit. Now that would have been an interesting time, because Northern Spirit at the time went from such a high to such a low in such a quick time. It was really turbulent times back then in the old National Soccer League, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was Dave Mitchell's assistant for 5 years, which was fantastic. And then I got the opportunity to go to Spirit, and that's when Rangers had just sold them. Like, Rangers came in and bought them. And so they left, and basically I think it just follows me about wherever I go. The clubs have no money. And with 2 years there, we made the finals the first year. I won the Coach of the Year, the first go. And then at the end of the Northern Spirit, a group of guys for the Central Coast who were putting in a bid for their league came and said if I would go to the Mariners. At that time, it wasn't even the Mariners. And then I worked with those guys behind the scenes, and when we got the license, I got appointed, and we brought a lot of the Northern Spirit boys over to the Mariners, and then we started that first season. We got into the A-league grand final. We won the pre-season cup. I think we finished second in the league or something. You know, we started off and I won Coach of the Year again that year, and we had a good 5 years when I was there as coach, and then I became general manager of football for a year, and then I went to China and coached over in the Chinese Super League for a year, and then came back, and then just thought I'd be the mayor of Gosford for 4 years.
Tell us a bit about that, going from a football environment all of a sudden to a civic environment. How'd you get roped into that, or how did you decide to go down that path? And tell us some of the highs and lows.
You're not going to blame your wife for that one as well, are you?
I know. You know what the wives are like. When I came back, I got asked to go for council. John Singleton, a very successful businessman in New South Wales, John Singleton, he lives on the coast, and he was at me and said, look, there are a bunch of idiots on the council. We need a change. Come on, you'll get in. So I run as an independent, and I did come home to Christine one night and say, right, what should I do? And she said, oh, whatever you want. So she agreed with me. Then she hammered me after it for the next 4 years. But she liked me. She liked me going to the bedroom dressed up with my chains and my dressed up. And I had a silly hat that looked like Captain Pugwash's hat as well. So no, it was different, and it was a great experience. And I did get a nice set of chains, but Christine used to get jealous because I had more jewellery than her. But she got over it. But no, it was a great experience, and we did really well and rejuvenated the town and got a lot of development happening, a lot of jobs in the town. We run for the federal seat as well as an independent, just to stir the shit. You know, we played the preference game between the Labour and Liberal, to get the best deal for the coast, which we did. We had a good outcome for that, and then after the 4 year, the amalgamation happened, and that's when Martin Lee came out to buy the Newcastle Jets, and I took it to FFA, and he asked me to stay on as the CEO, and that was just a quick version, and but that's how it all came about.
I just want to. I want to sort of go back to your time in the Chinese Super League. Australian coaches now are becoming. You were probably one of the first.
I was the only one.
I was going to say
one to coach in China.
In the China, but obviously there's coaches now that are coaching within Asia.
Craig, can I just stop you there? Thank God you didn't say you want to go back to Laurie's bedroom with the chains. Luckily, it was China. I had me worried for a sec.
Yeah, well, Christine's listening, so I couldn't. So, go back into the Chinese Super. How was that for you? Because you were there for a year, was it? Okay,
just over a year. It was a real strength. Chengdu Blades, Sheffield United owned them. You've just disappeared.
No, we're here. We can just see you on the screen. You're okay.
The Chengdu Blades were owned by Sheffield United, and they had a relationship with the Mariners, so they wanted me to go out, and arrived the week before the season started. We had a trial game against a local state league club for Chengdu. It abandoned after 32 minutes because it was like a Bruce Lee movie. Everybody were flying kicks, people getting kicked in the head, jumping up and down on them, and it was abandoned. So we played our first game against Shandong Luneng, the champions, the week after up in Shandong, and we drew 2-2 to finish up. But our chairman was in jail for match fixing, and in that first game, Brendan Santalab was at the club, and Adam Kwasnick I took on loan. They scored, and we drew 2-2. But the big goalkeeper, I've never saw a goalkeeper take as long to set up a wall holding onto the post, and the boy just dinked it over the wall into the other side. It was like a setup, and you come in after the game and go, what have I got myself in for? But we had fantastic training facilities. We had a training base with 76 rooms, gymnasiums, offices, I think 6 training fields. It was a fantastic setup, but I learnt a lot how not to run a football club from there, because it was just bizarre how they came up with decisions and stuff like that. But me and Christine loved the experience. I came back after 6 months, and then Chongqing Li Fan, they came in and got me, and I went back there, and that was a great setup as well. And we loved the, because you come to the Central Coast, which was like a bit of a goldfish bowl, successful coach, everybody knew you, and you went over to China, and you were just this couple wandering about in a population of 14 million people in Chengdu, and Chongqing was massive, and but we became part of the community over there as well. It was great. Like we enjoyed the year over there, just over a year, and as a life experience, it was fantastic.
Fantastic. And now and now you're returned. You're at Newcastle Jets, and now you're assuming the role of CEO. Tell me, now you've got the coach there, Carl Robinson, and mind you, Craig, I was just saying to Craig earlier today, I was reading an article in the Newcastle Herald, I think it was, about Carl Robinson, and in the article it just came across as he's a bloke with so much manners. He's very polite. He just has a real air of positivity about him. What's he like at the club? What's he like behind the scenes at the club?
So he just came back because he just got out of quarantine last weekend. So he's very confident in his own ability, and it was the same when I was a coach. If you do a job well enough, you don't need to be worried about somebody stabbing you in the back, because if you're doing a good job. And Carol, he's very upfront. He told the boys the first day of training, I'm going to drive you harder than you've ever been driven before. I love it. And the boys did. They responded straight away, and you could see that in the results. He's very confident. He's very thorough, and he just loves football.
Yeah.
You know, like he's in the office at 7:30. They leave. The coaching staff leave the back at 5 every night. You know, I've been at a lot of clubs where the coach will be gone by 12 o'clock. You know, they'll come in at 8 and they'll be gone at 12. So he loves it. He's thorough. He's got time for anybody. He's very upfront. If anybody's got an issue, he wants to deal with it. He doesn't let things fester. So, because over the years, you see a lot of coaches, they don't like the confrontation, especially with senior players. But whether you're one of the senior boys or one of the young boys, you get treated the same, and it's quite refreshing, actually.
Yeah, look, and I read the same article, and he comes across very, very well in the article. Obviously, he's a Welsh lad, ex Wales international. Played most of his games at Wolves and Norwich, and he's got a very interesting backroom staff with him now as well. He's got Kenny Miller, who is a bit of a Welsh connection actually, because obviously Carl's Welsh. Kenny, while he's not Welsh, he played for Cardiff City for 2 seasons. But Kenny also got quite a mixed up football career, because he played for both sides of Glasgow, which I'm sure you're really chuffed about.
Yeah, well, he got took to the dark side once he left Hibs, and then he came to the light side, and he's a bit of a legend. He's a legend in Scottish football.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he played 70 odd games with the national team, played a lot with Rangers, and he was playing up until he came here in January.
Mm.
He was playing with Partick. He retired. He'd scored 10 goals during the season for them, and he still jumps in training now and again. You have to hold him back, but he's got that winning mentality. And he's been a winner during his career. And we've also got Darren Beasley, who played with Carl at Wolves.
Yep.
He was over in the MLS, and he lives in New Zealand. He came out to play with Auckland Knights many, many years ago when I was at the Mariners, and he stayed about. So he's very quiet and very level. It's a real good mix. You've got Kenny, who's like a cat on a hot tin roof, and you've got Carol, who's just up front, and then you've got Darren, who's the sensible one in the background. So it's a good mix.
Yeah, good. And how have the players responded to obviously the new management team, which actually probably Carl only had 2 or 3 games before everything went into lockdown, did he?
Yeah, I had 4 or 5, but no, they responded straight away. In those last 8 games we had, we'd have been, if we'd have just went to the table then, we'd be sitting second in the league. We had a good run. We beat Melbourne City the last game, I think 2-0, and played them off the park at home behind closed doors. So the boys have responded well. But when your coach is up front and tells you how it is, as a player, you're either going to drop your bundle, and you're writing your own exit out of the place, or you're going to fight, and you're going to put up a fight, and you're going to fight for the manager, and that's what's happening. We've got boys chapping at the bit. Boys, Bernie Abini's looking really good. He's been overseas for a while. Young Fitzgerald's been kind of quiet, but he's come back, scored the last game against Melbourne City, and he's been flying pre-season. Stevie Gatkovic, Johnny Katrumbis. These boys have been flying, and we played the Wanderers yesterday and drew 0-0, although we did very, very well and created many, many chances and just never took them. So the squad's responded very, very well to it. You just hear it with the noise when successful teams have got successful dressing rooms, and we've got that in shovel loads at the moment.
Now, as a previous coach, obviously previous player as well, Lawrie, now that you're a CEO, is it hard for you to kind of not get too involved in the coaching side of things, or you've got your own tasks and issues that you need to worry about, and you leave that all to the coaches? Or do the coaches also come to you looking for a little bit of advice from time to time?
When I went into administration at the Mariners, and we brought Arnie and Graham Arnold, we had a great relationship. Arnie would speak to me about football, but I stayed away from training because it was my team. I'd signed that team. So when Arnie came in, apart from 2 players, so you had to draw the line. I didn't want to be hanging about training and Arnie thinking, what's he speaking about? So I totally distanced myself from training, and it just made it easier to make that divide. And I think that probably some people in my position find it hard. I don't find it hard. You just had to do it. When Ernie, at the beginning, Ernie would ask my opinion. And sometimes when you get told an opinion that differs for years, you don't like it. And it started being very different. So he stopped asking me, which is fine. So I'll only ever give my opinion to a coach if he asks for my opinion. Carol will ask me after the game, what do you think? I'll say what was training, and we'll talk football. We'll put football hat on. But I always, when I was a coach, whenever the chairman would come in or one of the hierarchy and they started talking football and trying to give me advice, I would politely tell them, go and sign that player, but he'll never play as long as I'm the coach of the team, unless he deserves it. So I'm telling you that now. Yeah, go and sign him. And that happened 2 or 3 times in my career as a coach, and never once did they sign him. Or they did in China, but I never played the guy. But he got signed in China because the agent was making a lot of money, and so was the general manager of the club. But so I've always found it all right to draw that line, and coaching's one side. I've got my opinion, like everybody. You have to respect people's opinion. You don't need to agree with them, but usually, and Carl and me think, Carl's 43. I got my first head coaching job at Spirit. I came to the Mariners, was 43, and I see a lot of resemblance. The working with low budgets, being successful, and getting the players to play for you.
Now, speaking of low budgets, one of the problems at your current club, Newcastle Jets, has been the ownership or the change of ownership. It's reported Martin Lee, who's the current owner, hasn't put much money into the club for a while now, and there is talk of a Western Sydney-based buyer taking over. Without revealing too much behind the scenes, what is going on at Newcastle Jets in as far as ownership?
Martin Lee's not contributed any money for a long time. He would sell and get out of the club at the moment, but obviously when you have a COVID virus coming through, it totally changes the football landscape.
Yep.
Every landscape. We were close to getting people, and we're close now. We've been dealing with a businessman to Sydney for the last few months, and it's getting closer. But financially, it is tight. But we were one of the first teams to play our foreign players the job keeper equivalent. Some of the clubs never paid that. We did, because it's the right thing to do. Our players are paid up in full with their super and paid up. So we've managed to get along, but things are very tight at the club, and it makes it hard when your owner, he's not gave us any money for last October. So that was the last time we had any funds injected in the club. So it is making it hard, but we are hopeful that we'll have a solution very, very soon.
Good luck with that, hopefully.
Great for the club. Just go back to what you said there about Carl, and I think you mentioned he's 43?
43, I think.
Yeah, he was. I remember he was very young when he started his management career, and I think he's been in. I think his last job was in Canada. Was he Vancouver?
Yeah, Vancouver Whitecaps. I think he was there for 5 years.
He was there for 5 years, so so he would have been mid-30s when he got into management. So
it's very
young management. He's obviously got big aspirations. He
wants to coach in the Premier League.
Yeah,
simple.
Yeah,
that's his goal, and he sees coming here, because he flew out here when we were looking for a coach, and he sees this as a stepping stone to that. And I believe it. I believe he'll coach in the English Premier League.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was where I was going with the question. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Now, Lawrie, a quick question about McDonald Jones Stadium there up at Newcastle. Obviously, with the fantastic news that in 2023, Australia and New Zealand will be co-hosting the Women's FIFA World Cup. That is one of the grounds that has been earmarked as a venue for the World Cup. Is there any talk from the local council or the local state or federal governments about upgrades and fixing that up? And if so, how is that going to affect Newcastle Jets?
Now, the stadium's no long been done. They've got the 2 new grandstands. there were plans to build in the ends
Mm-hmm.
and make it like 40,000, but the capacity is 30,000. And for what we're getting averaging around about the 10,000 mark. It's plenty big enough. The Newcastle Knights get around 20,000. I think the way to go is go back to boutique stadiums.
Yep.
We've got a small stadium in the city. It holds about 8 at the moment, but it's more like grandstand on one side. So if somebody come in and developed that and made like a 12,000 seat stadium, 14,000, that would be absolutely perfect for us. Because when we play W League games there, it just generates a different atmosphere. But our stadium, brand new surface last year, outstanding drainage, facilities, the dressing rooms, they've got, I think, 8 dressing rooms. They've got everything in there. So as for the stadium, it doesn't need nothing done to it for the women's World Cup. And we did have the record Matilda's attendance. Once it was 17,000 and it got beaten by Penrith last year. So we get a lot of support up there for the women's game.
Is there a possibility that the other ground, where's the other ground, the one you were talking about, the smaller one?
It's number 2. It's called number 2 Sports Ground. It's in the city centre.
Yep.
That'll probably be a training venue because it's during the Asian Cup it was used as a training venue.
Yep. Will that be likely upgraded?
They've council. That's a council ground. Our stadium's a state government, New South Wales state government.
Okay.
Number 2 Sports Ground is council, and they're the ones who have helped bring the Matildas to Newcastle. So I'm sure they'll be looking. They've got grants for behind the goals to concrete, and once the concrete steps going behind the goals, they'll just put seats down there as well. So
Fantastic.
it'll slowly become, I think, an all-seated stadium.
Could you see that being maybe a home venue for the Jets in years to come? As you said, with that trend of wanting to acquire boutique stadiums.
Yeah, I think there would need to be. I think that's way down the track. We need to get funding. You need to get funding from state government. You need to get funding from an owner, and obviously the council. But it would be when you see Brisbane playing up in their little stadium up at getting 10,000 people and it's jam packed. It's a brilliant atmosphere, and some of the stadiums are just too big.
Yeah, we've had that conversation on here quite a bit now, Lawrie. We had it with Chris Palavanis the other week, who's obviously from the Western United, and they've had all their games down in the GMB HBA Stadium down in Geelong, which is just too big. It's just there's no atmosphere. When they went outside of that and played, probably the best game for atmosphere that they had was at the Bulldogs AFL ground in Footscray. So I think they're looking at smaller boutique type grounds where smaller capacities. Why have a 40,000 seat stadium when you're only getting 5,000 or 6,000 people in? It can't be a good spectacle. It's certainly not a good spectacle for supporters, and it'd be very hard for players. So get those players. And you mentioned Brisbane, Sydney have gone out with and gone and played out in the sticks as well. They're probably the only real ground for me that looks anything like a football ground in terms of the numbers that they get watching would probably be the Cooper Stadium in Adelaide.
And that's about 16,000. So you get 11, 12,000 in there. The place is buzzing. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there semi-finals with the Mariners when I was coaching, and that place when it's packed, it's an intimidating place. It's they're right on top of you, and it's probably the best football stadium to go to.
For atmosphere,
yeah, 16,000, and it's jumping right on top of you.
Fantastic, Craig. Any last questions for our guest?
No, I just want to obviously your next game or your first game up is next week against Sydney.
Yep.
Obviously, you've got just under a week of getting the boys now. Craig and the coaching team came back last week, so they would have had a full 2 weeks of training. What's the expectations for the remaining part of the season for the club, Lawrie?
Well, I hope Wellington kick lumps out of them tomorrow night, so then Sydney will be a wee bit tired against us on Tuesday. We've got a real outside chance to make the finals. If we can get a result against Sydney, that keeps us going depends how Western United go at the other end. So we've been down to Sydney to get a win. Hopefully we can continue the way we've been going. We've got the Mariners after that away, and then on the Central Coast, and then we've got Western United, and then we're playing Wellington in the last game, which is, they asked us if they can move the game back. We said, yeah, no problem. So we went to the 9th to the 13th, and then they told us yesterday they're taking the game to Sydney.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Yeah, so we had 2 home games and 2 away. So they just pulled the rug from under our feet. So, but everything that's going on here, you can't whinge about it. We're just lucky we've got the game back. And hopefully tomorrow night, it'll be nice coming in on a Friday night and spending another romantic night sitting on the couch watching the A-league.
Yeah, make sure you look at the TV and not through Christine's eyes, though. Yeah.
Nah. Well, she's a bit of a critic. She's actually a good critic.
Okay.
So I wonder what that was there.
That wasn't Christine, was it? No.
Hello. Yep, we're here.
Yeah. Thanks very much, boys, and I'll get our coaching. I'll speak to your coaching staff as well, and I'll line them up to come on as well. Yeah,
that'll be fantastic, mate. We'll be really good to get Carl and the team on. And look, wish you all the best over the next couple of weeks. I know it's been a tough old season for everybody, and I'm sure everybody's itching to get back on the field. So wish you and the club all the very best, and look forward to speaking to you soon.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks you, Lawrie McKinna.
Bye-bye.
That was Lawrie McKinna, CEO of the Newcastle Jets, and what an interesting fella that he was. You could talk with that guy for hours and hours. He just seems to have some great stories, and just says it how he sees it. So that was fantastic. Oh, rightio, Craig. That just about brings us to the end of our show tonight. It's been a really, really interesting show because we've focused now on something that is actual, that is relevant, and that is coming up, and that is the A-League. Unfortunately, we don't have the NPL, we don't have the state leagues, and we're not going to have it this year.
Don't you turn me off?
No, I didn't. No, I can hear you. But at least we're going to have the A-League, so looking forward to that. Craig seems to be mucking around with something. Can you hear us? Hello, Craig. Hello. Finishing. Winding it up. No, we can't hear him.
Can you hear me?
No, we can now. Yeah.
I can't hear you.
No.
But I can't hear you guys at all.
No worries then. All right then. Good night and all the very best. And thank you very much for being a part of the show tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all. Tune in on Sunday night for the big football fan zone. That's always going to be popular at 7 p.m. Monday night, Geelong Region Soccer Show, 7 p.m. We've got Jesse Mays, the kit man and the team manager from Brisbane Roar, an old Geelong boy. And we've also got the North Geelong Warriors president, John Diddlitzer, who'll be also joining us. He's got lots of interesting stuff that seems to be happening down Geelong way. So an interesting program on Monday night coming up. Hello, we've got Craig before we go away.
Yeah, just before we do go, in terms of Sunday night show, this week we're going to try something different, and we're going to have a bit of a trivia night.
Yes.
We're looking for 2 guests that would like to come on screen and pit yourself against Tonchi in a trivia quiz. It's week 1 of the Sunday night trivia quiz.
Who came up with this idea?
Anybody that wants to come in is going to be up against Tonchi. 15 questions. Winner stays on, and a prize at the end.
Trust me, guys. I'm not a very smart fella when it comes to general knowledge these days. The old dementia's starting to kick in, so you'll be okay. The pressure won't be on you. The pressure will be on me. So we're looking for two people, guys, girls. We want some girls. We very rarely have ladies tuning in. Forget about the voice. Don't worry about the voice. Tune into our show. Be part of our show. We'd love to have you on board on Sunday night to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of trivia fun.
At your expense, Tonch, yeah?
At my expense, yeah. And you're allowed to make fun of me. You're allowed to tease me. So that's 7 o'clock on Sunday night. If you'd like to be a part of the Football Fan Zone on Sunday night and be part of our inaugural quiz night, then Sunday night trivia night, then give us a buzz, PM us, or contact us via email. On that note, a good night to you all. Thank you very much for being a part of this show. All the very best. And hopefully your A-League team will win. Good luck. Good night.